Tristan, been looking forward to this. I know it was a couple of months that I've been trying to get here, and I had my issues back home, but we got it resolved. But really interested in talking to you because it's so interesting, this thing between you and your brother. And first of all, I got to tell you something. I really respect and admire the relationship that the two of you have.
Thank you.
I mean that. And I see that you have each other's backs. It's not always like that in a family, but I've seen how you have stuck together through all of this. And it's something to be admired, and I really mean that.
Yeah, I didn't realize how unusual it was until we got famous. I assumed, I guess, in my naivety when I was younger, that every single brother or every cousin or member of the family would want to stick together, build something together, work together, have each other's back. But it's only since I blew up that I get all these messages from people being like, oh, my brother doesn't speak to me. I don't speak to my brother because of this girl, because of this political view. And I'm like, it's mind-blowing to me. I don't understand how you could have a brother and not be like me and Andrew. So I know it's very unusual and people like you admire it and see it from the outside. But from my inside perspective, I just can't imagine living any other way.
Well, it's, I don't want to say it's rare, but, I used to believe in the expression that blood is thicker than water.
Yeah.
But I found that not to be true, in a lot of cases, unfortunately. And I've seen a lot of families had a lot of disagreements and it got ugly and everything else. And I have two brothers and I have a relationship with them. And but we kind of went our separate ways at one point. Now, my younger brother, I'm very close with again. But to see that is really admirable, especially when you're going through all this trouble. And I really mean that. And I want you to know, I've been because I understand what you're going through and I can kind of read between the lines and see things, I've been very supportive of both of you. And you get some backlash from that. I don't care.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, but I think I see what's going on here. I really mean it. And unfortunately, you've got a voice, you've got a platform, and you're saying the wrong things according to some people out there. And this is how they react.
Well, if we didn't have a voice, we wouldn't have these legal problems. It's as simple as that. If we weren't loud, if we didn't talk, and if we said the right things according to the people in power, then we wouldn't have this legal problem at all. That is very, very crystal clear to me. Even the decisions I get in courts, the decisions I get from judges, the way that the police speak to me, like I know that they know they're setting me up a lot of the time. I know that the reason the investigators in charge of this case will not speak to my housekeeper who's worked for me 7 years, who's in this house every single day. They won't interview her. They won't interview my personal trainer who's here 5 days a week. They don't even want to interview me when I was in jail. But they'll talk to an ex-girlfriend I had 6 years ago and try to blackmail her, financially incentivize her into saying that she's my victim in some way. For me, it's crystal clear. The people who are doing this to me probably know I'm innocent more so than anyone else on the internet because they're trying to build a case out of nothing. And it's scary, but it's nothing that we can't handle, luckily.
Well, I'll tell you what happens, and here's where you get victimized. When I was in the street in that life, the normal way of investigating a crime happens, and then they go out and investigate it and try to find the perpetrator and find out what happened here. In case of organized crime, and you're going through the same thing, the crime didn't happen. They're targeting you.
Yes. And
now they try to figure out what crime you might have done.
Yes.
Or they try to make something up. And that's what's happening. And unfortunately, it's happening more and more. And I think that both you and Andrew are a victim of that. The scary thing in talking to Andrew that I found out is at least in America, we have a shot. We go in front of 12 people. There's a jury.
Yeah.
You don't have that here.
No, we don't. There is no trial by jury.
And if you get the wrong judge and, all these people are connected in some way, it's a problem.
Yeah, and if I'm convicted and actually sent to prison, the appeals process for getting my case reheard is exceptionally complicated as well. It's a lottery of the judges that you get, the judges that are selected. It's supposedly random. I don't believe that it's random, but it's supposedly supposed to be random. And all of the good decisions that we've had made, because obviously these officers and prosecutors are like dogs who've been set on us. They only care about me going to jail. They don't care if I'm a criminal. They don't care if I'm innocent. They don't care if it separates me from my children. They just care about their win and sending me to prison. But all the good decisions that we've got have been in appeal courts from randomly selected judges. Sometimes in the appeal court, the randomly selected judge just looked at us and we said, look, we've clearly been falsely accused here. This isn't a case. And they said, nah, back to jail. And a few judges have said, you know what, this is absolutely morally wrong. Let these boys out of jail. So that's where my hope lays, in the higher courts of Romania, the appeal courts, because I'm going to randomly be selected some judges who are going to decide if I'm free to go and live my life as I should be, or if I'm going to go to prison for probably 8 years, which is scary in a way, because I'm so uncertain of the process, and I can't trust a jury of my peers, actual people who this could have happened to sit and analyze the evidence. Yeah, trial by jury, I think, is very important, and the countries that have it shouldn't take it for granted, because it's a beautiful part of the Constitution. It's a beautiful part of the UK law as well.
Yeah, you have a shot at least. Let me ask you, if there is a conviction on this, I mean, is there any bail while appeal, or do they take you right in?
No, if I'm convicted, I think I'll go straight to prison, and I have to appeal my way out. So they'll take me from the courthouse to prison. But the process in Romania takes so long that it's a punishment in and of itself, because the day a judge sits there and says Tristan is innocent or Tristan is guilty is probably still over a year away. Keep in mind that this process has been going on for 2 years already. So it's still a year in the future. So as a smart man, I look at it in a very simple way. Everyone asks, why am I so relaxed? Why am I so chilled? Because if I was guilty of a crime and trying to find my way to be found not guilty, or if I had done some illegal things and some legal things, and I was trying to find a way to convince a court and convince a judge, I'd worry about it every day. But for me, it's black and white. Either justice is real and I walk all of this because I've never committed a crime, or I've been set up and I'm definitely going to jail. So what I do is I prepare and I live my life as though I'm definitely going to jail. Let's set up my finances. Let's make sure my kids are going to be fed. Let's make sure their school fees are paid. So if I go, then I go. You know, everyone who I love is taken care of. My mother, my kids will all be taken care of, and I'll be in jail. But I won't have my family financially destitute. I won't have my, the mothers of my kids out working fast food jobs. I'm going to take care of everybody because I'm a man. And if they're going to set me up, then they're going to set me up. What can I say about it or do about it? The answer is nothing.
Well, you got the right attitude. Unfortunately, to even have to think about something like this, you didn't commit a crime, and you got to go through this system, which is exhausting. Believe me, I can relate to everything that you're going through. It's exhausting.
Times 10, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to trial 5 times, on everything, but it's just exhausting. People, I think they don't understand how much wear and tear is on you when you're going through this in many ways. But, I got to ask you this, because I spoke with Andrew, and you're a Christian. You and I have that in common.
Indeed.
And Andrew is not of that faith at this moment, although he reacted really well when I spoke to him about Christ. And I said, there's a definite separation there. In, if we're right as Christians and the only way to get to eternity in heaven is through Jesus Christ, that's something you really need to explore. And have you had conversation with him on that?
Yeah, it's a conversation that I have very often. It's actually not something that I ever publicize. So me and Andrew will not sit on podcasts and have our disagreements about religion, but there certainly is a disagreement there. However, I don't think it would be very difficult to find 2 men who are as strong a mind as Andrew and I. So in a way, I just let him do his thing and let me do my thing. People assume because we're the Tate brothers, we get arrested together, we go to jail together, that we agree on 100% of every single world issue. We don't. We're still 2 individual men with our own individual lives and our individual outlooks on the way that we do things. We're not carbon copies of each other. We've just inherited lots of similar traits that we got mainly, I guess, from my father that makes us similar. But I don't, invest my time in trying to change his mind on something when I believe that the truth will be revealed to him eventually. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know he's got a lot more years to live, hopefully, if they don't do anything stupid to us. So I let him run his path. I'll let him run his course. It's not a discussion that we have, and it certainly never turns into a heated debate. But I respect his customs. He respects mine.
Yeah.
He was at church with me on Easter a few days ago.
He did
Orthodox
come?
Christian Easter. Yeah, no, he came with me. It was beautiful. During Ramadan, I'll fast throughout the day and eat only in the evening, just out of respect for him, because I don't want to be in his face eating a sandwich. But that's just basic common courtesy and brotherly love.
Yeah. I think that's a good approach. As Christians, we're not supposed to impose our faith on anybody or try to turn anybody into a Christian. It's just, it's just our obligation to share when the time is right. And I kind of approach it that way.
Yeah, and me too, because if I have to think who turned me into a Christian, I was raised in, I guess, a slightly more religious environment, but I moved to England. I was not interested in religion for most of my life. I don't want to call myself an atheist. I don't like that word. I think it's a dirty word, and I don't want to ever brand myself with it. But back then, I would have described myself as an atheist. I was a non-religious person until about 7 years ago. And when I think about the question, who convinced me to become a Christian? Nobody convinced me. Nobody convinced me. I think I moved to this beautiful Christian country. I saw the way that society was, more closely held together. You probably see this in the Italian-American community.
Yes.
And you remember it from growing up. And I thought, okay, there's something to this. Let me explore this myself. And it was very much an internal journey that I decided to take without somebody saying, hey, Tristan, you should be a Christian because X, Y, and Z. So just as that's the way I became a Christian, I wouldn't want to be the guy to tell anyone you need to believe this or else. I don't ever want to come across that way. So I let people run their own path, especially people I care about. I think if Andrew was making a cataclysmic mistake that was bad for our audience, bad for him, bad for me, bad for us as brothers, bad for us as a family, then it's my duty to call him out. But I mean, he's reverted to Islam. The man doesn't drink anymore. He's a lot more focused on his work. I don't see any negative side effects it's had on him, so I'm going to let him run his race. I'm going to let him live his life. He's older than me as well, so he has that little bit of older brother authority that I can't really use on him. He's
How much older?
A year and a bit.
Oh.
Like, we're almost the same age, but a year and a bit.
No, I think that's the right approach, and there's I forget the verse in the Bible where Jesus was asked, what is your role here on earth? And his response was very telling. He said, not to lose one soul for my Father. So I believe that anybody that knew Jesus at one point in time, even if they've left, they'll come back. Because I think those are very powerful words. But I agree with you. It's you let people do their thing, but you speak the truth when it's appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we believe. Let me ask you, it was interesting again in speaking to Andrew that you guys came up the hard way.
Yeah.
Didn't have anything. And then all of a sudden you have pretty good life.
Yeah, life's been okay. Life's treated me quite well. I think that the number one misconception I don't like about me, people, which is funny because people call me all sorts of names. They call me a criminal. They call me a human trafficker. They call me, a misogynist. They call me all these horrible things. And I just, brush it off. But when someone sits there and says, oh, Andrew and Tristan Tate, they come from money. They come from a wealthy family. Oh, they didn't make it all themselves. They got helped out by X, Y, and Z. That offends me. You see, that offends me more than being called any type of criminal. Because, a lie about me will bounce off. But when you are lying in a way that discredits the hard work that I've put in and discredits, I guess, my work ethic and my intellect and everything I put into having the life that I have now, then I get offended. So that is a misconception that I would like to crush, immediately. From living in America broke, I moved to England when I was 8. I lived in a homeless shelter for 2 years. It was me, my sister, my brother, and my mother in a single room of a government housing program house. The other rooms were occupied by other families, some of them with drug problems, violence problems. It was very loud. We lived in that homeless shelter for 2 years before we were eventually given a council house. My mother worked as a cleaner, cleaning kitchens. Her hands were always, cut and swollen up. And that motivation of seeing your mother exhausted from working jobs that frankly are beneath her. I don't want my mother scrubbing someone else's floors, washing someone's plates in someone else's restaurant. I didn't want that. So I wanted better for her and my whole family, not just better for myself. And this was way before I even thought of having children. But as a man, I think it's, it was always my job to do better. I knew that I was gifted with something. I knew I could make something out of life. And we never turned to crime, even in the early days, which is actually a very interesting point that I'll go in on for a second. So we started kickboxing. It was enough to pay the bills. We lived in a very bad town, a very rough town. All of your English friends and staff here will know how bad that town is. And back then I would get offers to commit crimes for money. I'd get offers for go and collect money from these people. They owe these dealers money. You're a big kickboxer. Protect us when we go here. Maybe move this package A to package B. And I refused every single offer to commit any crime for money. I'd rather spend my time at the kickboxing gym and keep my head down. So the crazy allegation that once I'm already worth 8 figures, that I begin committing crimes 3 years ago, according to the Romanian authorities, for me is wild. Why would I have made it and everyone's taken care of. My mother doesn't work anymore, and I have 60 cars and I'm living well. That's when I decide to turn to a life of crime. When I'm already a father and a Christian and I'm 32, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, growing up poor was a blessing, and I wouldn't change it.
Well, and it's an incredible story. I mean, how did this all begin? I mean, what thought did you have from kickboxing to where you are now? What was the...
Well, every conversation my brother and I have ever had when we were broke somehow revolved around money. And we've run many businesses that did well for a little bit, then failed. We've tried to launch projects using the last of our money.
And you were
that
always
have
doing
failed.
this together, right?
Always together. I couldn't have imagined it any other way. We tried to bring various drinks we liked from Eastern Europe to sell in UK supermarkets, set up meetings, invested all of our last money in this project. Everyone told us no, failed. We had this idea once to set up a system where people could run, remember those competitions, or win a vacation, text this to this number. We tried to middleman that and allow other people to run text competitions on a premium rate phone line that we set up. And we set it up and tried to market it, lost all of our money. Once again, we were broke eating ramen noodles. So we've tried everything. I mean, we've done all sorts of failed and successful businesses over the years. And I think it was just persistence that got us there. A lot of people are going to get, kicked in the nuts and take a fall, and they're going to let it beat them down. Andrew's lost very important kickboxing matches. Did he quit fighting then? Did I quit fighting when I got my ass kicked a couple times? No, you don't. You just have to continue, because in life, there are only winners and losers. There are no participation trophies. There's no, stickers and everyone's invited to have a good time. Life is hard, and everyone in life is actually trying to play the same game. If you're a sportsman, you like racquetball, I've heard, for example. Yeah. There's a small pool of people who play racquetball, and you have to compete within that pool to be the best, and maybe you become the world champion. There's a small pool of people who compete at kickboxing, professional soccer, and the bigger the pool is, the more difficult it is. Well, life is the only game where every single one of us, 8.1 billion people, is trying to play the exact same game. And the same game is, there's only so much money in the world, there's only so many resources, there's only so much happiness. I'm going to try to provide for my family as best as I can. And whether people say money's not important or is important, everyone's part of this game. So winning is very difficult, and you have to keep trying when you get kicked and you fall down. And that's the advice I give to every young man who listens to me.
So you never viewed failure as, I always viewed, first of all, I don't like the word failure. Okay. I always looked at it as, if this didn't work, it's a learning experience. How am I going to figure it out and do better the next time? Or, okay, this didn't work, I got to get on to something else. So you have that entrepreneurial spirit and that determination and motivation. That's what started you on this path right now. It's always been work.
Absolutely.
And how did it get to the point where, okay, this is working, and now I got this? What was it? What was it that you and Andrew started?
The big score for me and Andrew, and probably the happiest day of my life, even to this day, I remember it. We were always in sales, and we worked sales jobs. And the first time I ever tasted real money, we used to sell television advertising campaigns. We'd call companies that don't advertise on TV, and we try to sell them a campaign. So my brother didn't like the guys he worked for. Him and another senior salesman started a new company doing exactly the same thing so they could be in control of the company. And I was working for them as a salesman. And me and my brother were the first people in the UK to bring an electronic cigarette onto television advertising. There was a bunch of walls. All these people wanted to advertise on TV. And we had this really good agent who was in charge of a process called Clearcast, which is checking the advertising standards and seeing if a product can be advertised on TV or not. And the company, I'm not going to say the company's name, they've probably gone out of business by now, was the first electronic cigarette company ever to be advertised on TV, because we managed to bend the rules to get the advert through. A couple months later, so me and Andrew made a lot of money. I mean, to us back then, $35,000, $40,000 each on this big deal, this $1 million deal, and we were super happy. And we assumed that we'd made it. We thought, okay, no, we've killed it now, because every month this guy's going to give us this much money. We're on $75,000, $80,000 a month now combined. So it's month one. We've got this money. What do? Let's buy an Aston Martin. Let's buy a car. I'm 22. No. I'm 23 and a half. 23 and a half at this point. So I'm like, I know, let's buy an Aston Martin because next month we can buy a house, and next month after that, it's all good. Don't worry. So we take all of our money and we buy the secondhand supercar. And at 22 years of age, I had so much faith in myself. Obviously, I had faith that this deal was going to work and I'd now made it and I was going to be living good forever. But I had faith in myself where I decided, let's take the plunge and spend this all on a car because don't worry, we're going to work this out at the end. So we take this car from the Aston Martin dealership in Cambridge. It's secondhand, 5 or 6 years old, but it was a drop-top Aston Martin Vantage that we owned outright. No payments, no finance, no nothing. And I remember driving home with my brother in that car to our crappy rented apartment in a bad neighborhood. And I had the biggest smile on my face, and that may well be the happiest day of my life. And the saddest day of my life was probably 29 days later when Clearcast, the advertising standards agency, put a blanket ban on all electronic cigarette products on TV. I lost the contract, lost the deal. 3 months later, I remember looking at that car outside, not having money to put gas in it, and just thinking, well, that was stupid. But that was our, and then obviously because we had that car, we did sell it and we did have that capital. That $60,000, $70,000 was very useful for the kickstart we needed. But that was after years and years of selling TV advertising campaigns for coffee, lip balm, making $3,000 or $4,000 a time. But that was the first time I ever felt like I was rich. And in theory, I was. And it all went wrong 29 days after that. Yeah. We were I think that's the only electronic cigarette brand ever to run an advert on British television. And that was the story of how I bought my first supercar, I guess. But that was the first time I
Did you sell the car afterwards?
We ended up, we kept it for a year and a bit. And we got to a point where we did, in fact, need to sell it. We needed to sell it. And yeah, we did sell it. And but that was a very, very long time ago. But even the arrogance I had to believe this money's coming in is going to last forever, it wasn't so much arrogance in this company or this deal. It was more, I guess, faith in ourselves that we knew one day that taking this plunge wasn't going to hurt us. I don't look back on that day with regret, like, man, I should have invested that money somewhere else. I should have spent it on something else. And I'm in the position that I knew I would be in, looking back on it. And now I've got 5 Aston Martins amongst 60 other cars. Like it's not a thing to buy one anymore, and the joy is gone.
I was going to say, what does it mean to you now to own those cars?
It's super nice. It's really nice to buy those cars, and I enjoy them, and I love driving, and I'm a big motorsports guy, and I love driving my cars. However, no feeling will ever compare to on that relatively cold spring English day with the roof down with my brother driving that first ever Aston Martin back to our council estate in our bad neighborhood, knowing that we'd probably have to, fight off attackers at some point. That was the best feeling in the world. I think that was the happiest day of my life. And I'm pretty happy. I'm a pretty happy guy. Like I love life, but that's probably my best ever memory. Yeah. And that's the first,
great memory.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever remember feeling rich. Yeah, it was nice.
Okay. So now, what's the next step in this journey?
Well, the next step, me and Andrew, and I take a lot of flack for this. I take a lot of flack for this, and I always talk about it because I want people to understand exactly the industry that I got myself into. I ran a streaming company. So back I'm an atheist at the time. I'm in my mid-20s, 24 years old. I come from the streets. There was this service that existed when you were younger, and you probably remember it, and all of the people probably older than me remember it, where it was these hotlines you used to call and flirt with beautiful women. So that had all died by then and evolved into streaming online on the internet. So I ran a completely legal tax payable company, and this gets me in some trouble nowadays, where I had these people, these women, streaming themselves on the internet for the same type of guy who would call the phone sex hotline, usually just lonely dudes looking to talk to some chick. And that has made the newspapers last week. It made the newspapers last week, and I'll tell you why. Because when digging through all of my past, now they've come up with this thing. They said Tristan Tate, over the course of 5 years, got paid $2.6 million in money from streaming companies running these streaming webcam models. Now, I did that before I was a religious man. It's not a business I promote. I certainly tell young men to stay away from adult content today. That made me some money back then. However, a very important distinction I'd like to make is how many girls who ever worked for my company, my legal tax payable company, of which, by the way, there are probably 3,000 studios here in Romania. It's a popular business out here. How many of those girls are part of my current ongoing criminal proceedings? The answer, you'll be shocked to know, is zero. Because the police have called everyone who ever worked for me, who they could ever find, and said, look, you were working at Tristan as a webcam model. And they're like, yeah. Did he ever make you do this? No. Did he pay you? Yes. All right, we'll close the book. So they've tried to tie this stupid allegation, and I think that's one of the reasons the allegation was made when Andrew said, everything is my fault. One of the reasons they chose that as an allegation is because they have videos of me at 25 saying, yeah, I run this company where I have these naked girls streaming on the internet. They've linked two and two together. And in the public eye, the Twitter detectives are like, oh, well, they've basically admitted to it. One, legal tax payable business, huge business here in Romania. Just buy your Airbnb. There's a huge studio with probably 400 models streaming right now. Not a crime. Slightly immoral. I'll completely agree. Running a nightclub can be slightly immoral too. Lots of things I've tried to do can be slightly immoral. But how much connection does it have with my current ongoing legal proceedings? None. Zero. None of the girls they've listed as victims have ever worked for me. That was a completely normal, fine tax payable
That
business.
probably, excuse me, wouldn't be admissible in court, any of that. It has nothing to do with anything.
No, it's not about court because nothing about my company is in the court documents and nothing has ever been shown to a judge. It's all about public perception.
Public perception.
It's all about public perception. They want to drag you down, destroy you, drag your name through the mud. So when they accuse you of kidnapping somebody because one lunatic who was here for 5 days got invited to a party at my house that I wasn't at, by the way, and she made this allegation that opens the door, that she was kept here. Obviously, there are videos on the internet of her leaving to get pizza, her walking around the city by herself. Text messages of hers have been leaked saying, I am going to lie to the police. I will wear sunglasses so I look upset, so it looks like I've been crying. It's open and shut, a false allegation. Case closed. However, when one lunatic comes into your house for 1 day of the 5 she spent in this country, when I wasn't even here, and makes this kind of allegation, the internet can run away on this fantasy of, oh, well, he used to run this webcam studio. Do you think that was human trafficking? And it's a way of trying to distort my name, my reputation, and to make me out to be something that I'm not, which I'm fine with because I don't really know who these anonymous Twitter accounts are. Right. And, you know, the fact that they may not like me isn't something that loses me sleep.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're going to be online, social media, you got to have thick skin. You can't worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did it progress? Where'd you start making all the big money?
All the big money, I mean, it depends what you consider big money. Because I first felt rich. I remember the first time I ever felt rich was when I could buy whatever groceries I want. I remember going into a grocery store and just thinking, I could pick up any item in this store and my card's going to work. That's amazing. Let's buy the more expensive olives. That's when I first felt rich, but that wasn't big money. And it's weird because in my arrogance, because the internet doesn't forget, in my arrogance as a younger person, when I was 25, talking about my life, I've been saying I'm rich for a very long time. But I look back on my financial situation at 25, and to me, that kid was poor. So I guess it depends what you want to define as big money. But certainly, you know, when Andrew became associated, well, when Andrew and I launched this online educational product that we now no longer own, and we just simply were the face of it. This online educational platform has made us, I guess, the big money. But I've had big money by most people's standards since I was 28. So it depends what you consider big money. But the online educational platform is certainly a moneymaker. The webcam studio really didn't earn me that much money. I donate more to charity every year than I ever made running that business. However, $500,000 a year in profit, that's still big money.
Yeah.
You know, that's still very big money. It's just small compared to where I am now. So I can't really answer the question. I know that's a cop-out, and I know it's boring.
No, I get it. Was it the online platform that really did it for you, though?
Well, yeah.
The educational platform?
Yes, online educational platform is big for us. And our online platforms in general are very big for us because the internet is a very unique business. It's a very unique company. If I'm selling these coffee cups on the streets in Bucharest, my customer base are the people who walk down my street, the people who walk down my street who drink coffee, the people who walk down my street who drink coffee who want a cup. Whereas when you sell something on the internet, or when you're talking on the internet, or you're garnishing an audience like you do to sell advertiser revenue, your audience is potentially every single person in the world who has an internet connection. And the reason I'm going to talk about the online educational platform for one more second is this. Even if you hate me, and even if you cannot stand me, and you hate everything I say, What you can't say is that I'm not an internet marketing genius. There's not a single person with the internet in the world who doesn't know mine and my brother's face. We are amazing internet marketers. And that goes out to the people who hate me, the people who love me. You have to at least give me that. So if one of the 11 campuses inside of my online educational platform teaches internet marketing, then you know it's a good platform because it's me and my brother teaching what we are arguably some of the best in the world at. So the online educational platform is amazing because internet marketing and client outreach is one of our biggest campuses. And let's be honest, who's better at marketing themselves on the internet than Andrew and I? I mean, we took over the entire internet to the point where, apps had to ban us everywhere, and we're still everywhere. They can't defeat us. And I can't tell you on camera exactly how we do that, but we're like a virus that's infected the internet. And no matter how much they try to delete us, they can't do it. So yeah, that's learning how to market ourselves on the internet, becoming professionals at it, and then selling the information back to others. Mm-hmm. And we have thousands of success stories of people who've 10x'd their businesses by using our internet marketing techniques, etc. Has been, I guess, a big money maker, as opposed to that's what put me on Bugatti money instead of Lamborghini money. Because you could buy 22 and a half Lamborghinis for a price of a Bugatti. People don't understand the actual difference in cost between these vehicles. But that's what put me on. It was the internet that put me on the Bugatti money, yeah. For
and
sure.
how long ago did you start that?
We started talking on the internet, and you know the saying, it takes 10 years of hard work to become an overnight success. Yeah. So if I were to say, oh, well, we launched this product that became successful, this online educational platform 3 years ago, people would be like, okay, well, 3 years ago, he started the business. No, I started the business when I was 25, when I was making stupid YouTube videos, trying to talk on the internet, trying to build my reach, trying to understand how to get more eyes on me, try to understand how to start more conversations about us. It was the knowledge that I learned over the 6 or 7 years prior to launching the online educational platform that's still part of the product journey. Mm-hmm. It's still part of the research and development. It took all that years, I guess a decade. It took a decade of work to start making the money from being on the internet that I make now.
And are you still involved in the platforms?
Oh yeah, but we don't like to now personally own anything anymore because payment processors get attacked, banks get attacked. Nobody has a problem at all with this 18-year-old boy spending $50 getting drunk with his friends. No one has a problem with an 18-year-old boy buying $50 worth of weed and getting high with his friends. Mm-hmm. But if you buy a $49 subscription to the Real World platform where it teaches you internet marketing amongst a bunch of other things, suddenly because you're giving money to Andrew Tate or me, it's now evil and it needs to be banned, and Visa and MasterCard need to take off their payment processing for this product. Apple Store needs to ban us. But again, I'm unbannable. So good luck. But let's just say I don't own anything anymore. I have a net worth of zero. Nothing is mine. Wink, wink.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my partner's he's a subscriber of yours, and he's
nice.
a big supporter of the whole platform. But it's an incredible story. I mean, really, not too many people can make it on the internet like you guys have done. I mean, and a lot of people try. I know that. These platforms come and go, and you see them. Well,
you've done very well yourself, so.
Well, honestly, I don't even know how. I mean, we just got fortunate, and it's worked out. But you had a plan, and you executed a plan, and.
But I would actually argue with you there. I'd say that you're wrong in the terminology, I just got fortunate. Because you didn't just get fortunate. I'll tell you, before the internet existed, when you were living that interesting life that you used to live, that everyone wants to hear about, that everyone wants to know the stories on, you didn't realize it at the time, but you were building your online brand then. It's not about fortunate, because if you had done none of the things you'd done, not lived the life that you had lived, you could have tried 1,000,000 times harder to become a face on the internet, and no one would care who you are, and nobody would listen to you. So again, when you say it takes a decade of work, in your case, 4 or 5 decades to become an overnight success, you were putting the work in way before the internet even existed.
No,
so
you're right.
It wasn't fortunate. It was. It may not have been 100% purposefully done, but it was done, and it was done the right way, and that's why everyone listens to you.
No, you're right. And I say, I always joke, it took me a lifetime to become an overnight success on the internet. But hey, who knew? Back growing up, we never knew any of this would be happening.
Yeah.
They had to force me to go on when the pandemic hit. I had 40 some odd speaking dates were canceled.
Yeah.
So my team says, well, what are you going to do? And I said, nothing. I'm going to stay home. I've been home like this in 25 years. It's
Yeah,
great. I'm not
beautiful.
traveling. No, you can't do that. You got to go on YouTube. And I said, I'm not going on YouTube. I don't want social media. Took them probably 2 or 3 months to convince me. And then it just took off. But you're right. It was the stories. It was people wanted to hear it. You know, there's a real fascination with that whole lifestyle. And I've really learned that, you know, traveling to different countries and especially the UK.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you know, when I got there, I couldn't believe it. You thought I was a rock star.
Yeah.
People coming out of pubs grabbing me, and I didn't even know I had this base of followers there. But it's the internet has done that. You know, you get the word out, and that's it. So it's a good gig. If you can do it, it's good.
Yeah, it is. And there's a quote I like. It's first you'll get paid for what you do, then you'll get paid for what you know. And if you get there, eventually you can get paid for who you are. And I think you're in that position today. We've both got paid for what we do. I used to work in a McDonald's drive-through. I'm not ashamed of myself. I made hamburgers. Proud of it. Getting paid for what you know, again, I guess that's the sales side, the television advertising expertise. But I'm not going to make any assumptions about your past, but you got paid for what you do, paid for what you know, and now you're getting paid for who you are. Yeah, and you deserve it because you've been through all the hardships that's created the person who's I guess sitting in front of me. And now that Andrew and I are I guess very financially successful, it's now at that point where I know things, I've done things, I've lived in a certain way that people want to hear what I have to say and people want to take my advice. People will pay for my advice even. And now I'm getting paid for who I am. So that's, I think, the ultimate step that less than 1% of men probably ever get to. Getting paid for what you know is probably as good as it gets for most people. Yeah. I want every fan of mine to build a life like me and end up in the position I'm in. I'm trying to drag people up, you know, not bore them or, you know, talk garbage or encourage them to play video games or do drugs. I'm trying to drag all the young people up, which is, I guess, mind-blowing to me why they'd attack me in such a way, but it makes sense if you really think about it.
It does. And, you know, in speaking to Andrew, and I'm sure you share the same opinion, you know, this whole misogynist thing, you know, it's terrible what you hear online. I've had people say to me, you know, I've been talking about coming to visit you both, and why would you sit down with Andrew? You know, after all this stuff. And I said, well, why would Andrew sit down with me? I've passed, you know, he could look at me and say, I don't want to sit with this guy. You know,
yeah, I guess some people could, but
yeah, I mean, why ask a question like that? But I believe that, you know, this whole misogynist thing, I've been supporting you both because I know how the system goes.
Yeah.
I know if you disagree with people in power and you have a voice that people pay attention to, you could become a target.
Yeah.
And we see it happen, you know. But I believe, again, after speaking with Andrew, you have a lot of respect for women. You have a lot of respect for kids. You want to see men become men. Because if men are men, women are in better shape.
Yeah.
It's not demeaning.
Well, that's completely true. And again, like I said, the internet is forever. You can listen to me at 25 saying, oh, women are terrible drivers. I almost ran into a woman on the road today. What a bitch, stupid bitch. And they'll be like, Tristan Tate calls a woman who was driving a car a stupid bitch. Women shouldn't be allowed to drive according to Tristan Tate. And they'll spin what you say. I'm like, look, I was 25. I was speaking to about 14 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I'm now I'm a 36-year-old man. I've got a daughter. Leave me alone. Like, I mean, were you a genius at 25? Probably not. I'd imagine because it's the course of being a man. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm saying being a man, you're not really a man at 25 yet. You're still a boy, you know. You're thinking with your little head and not your big one, and you're running around the world trying to make money and do whatever. And yeah, I've been talking on the internet for a very long time, and I have evolved and grown as a person. But you can take those old videos of us saying women are very bad drivers and call us misogynists if you like, and I still mean it. I don't think women drive as well as men. And if you want to put me in jail and call me a misogynist because of it, then it is what it is. I do the driving. If my daughter's mother or my daughter are driving somewhere, even in her car, I do the driving. I like to do the driving. I think it's the masculine thing to do. I don't hate women. And that's one of the misconceptions about me that annoys me as well, because no woman who I've ever met, and this is the very interesting part, no ex-girlfriend of mine, of which they've interviewed all of them, every single one has talked to the police, no ex-lover of mine, no girl who I used to that I've taken on dates, no girls who I've gone to clubs with, girls who have been at my house at house parties, not a single one had anything bad to say about me. So isn't that strange that every woman I know describes me as a gentleman, and every woman who I don't know And in most of their cases, I'll be honest, they're women I wouldn't want to know. They have the bad things to say about me. You know, the overweight, pink-haired, thick glasses chicks, you know. They're sitting there like, oh, well, Tristan Tate's such a horrible man to women. It's like, no, just because I don't want to talk to you, if every beautiful woman I know describes me as a gentleman, then I don't care what you think.
Right.
I don't care what you think. Call me a misogynist if you like. I love women. I love women. I provide for women, protect women. The story I told about needing to make money because my mom was working. I didn't just sit home and think, oh, well, you know, she is my mom. This better work. Did I? I thought this is unacceptable that I'm as smart as I am and my mother's cleaning people's kitchens. I'm going to take care of my mother.
Right.
She flies on private jets now and always will, whether they put me in jail or not. So, yeah, I love women and I do respect them a lot. But respect with everybody, men, women, not children, but men and women. Respect needs to be earned. You know, there are women who are not worthy of respect out there in the world screaming that Andrew and Tristan Tate don't respect women because I don't respect their particular worldviews. Yeah, fine. But there are probably a lot more men who I don't respect than women. And that's nothing to do with male or female.
You know, Andrew, I believe the women that are out there screaming.
You called me Andrew, but lots of people do.
It's Tristan.
All the time. Happens all the time. Trust me. Trust me. This isn't a unique thing.
You know, I believe that women that scream the loudest about men never had a man that respected them because they probably didn't act in a way where they should be respected.
That's very true.
And I believe that's the case because when a woman is treated good by a man, she doesn't want anything else.
Yeah. So I gave this example about, I've lived in Romania a long time. I've lived here 10 years. I've been single for a lot of those 10 years. So
you like it here?
Yeah. So I've met a lot of women in Bucharest, let's just say. And sometimes because you get a bit of a reputation in a city, I'm sure you know how it is. Women will be like, oh, well, this girl told me that you just use women and that you'll dump them very quickly after sleeping with them. And I've heard these bad stories about me. But when you said, you hit the nail on the head about women who are deserving of respect, let's switch the way that the conversation goes a little bit and let's turn it on its head. I've had some very serious, very long, very loving relationships with women who are absolutely amazing, okay? So let's say I take a girl out to dinner. She's rude to the waiter. I can't stand that. I used to be a waiter. She's rude to the waiter. She, I don't know, does something disrespectful to my friends. She doesn't introduce herself to the people I bring around. Maybe I spend a night with her. Maybe I spend 2 nights with her. Maybe I date her for a week or 2 and I give her a chance. Maybe I find out she does drugs, which I can't stand. And I eventually think, you know what? This woman's not for me. I'm going to stop talking to this woman. That's the woman who goes around town and says, oh, Tristan just uses women. He just slept with me and dumped me. I'm like, no, because I've kept the ones who are wonderful. I kept the woman who was lovely and I was with her for years and I was very happy. The fact that you couldn't command my respect doesn't mean that I disrespect women. It means I didn't want to associate with you anymore. But they spin the story into me being the bad guy, which is fine. I mean, you're the bad guy in someone's story. I don't really care, but it's the way the narrative is told is half of the truth, you know, the way the story is told.
No, I totally agree with that. And, you know, it's a conversation that it's coming up so much on the internet. You know, so many people are talking about it. I've tried to stay away from it, quite honestly, because, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But, you know, listen, I have 5 daughters, you know, and I tried to teach them all, look, if you want respect for men, you got to be a respectful woman.
Exactly.
Nobody, you know, but look, we got to be honest, Tristan, guys don't want a woman that's, what do they call it now? Body count.
Yeah, body count.
Yeah. Guys don't want a woman that has a large body count.
I get in trouble for saying that, but you're
But it's the
100%
truth.
correct. You're 100% correct. Let's take another example. Ready? Male value and female value are judged in completely different ways.
Correct.
Okay? Completely different ways. So let's pretend I am a 24-year-old man. I've made my first $10 million, but I won't earn another penny. This is a thought experiment. I've got $10 million. I'm 24. I'm in great shape. Okay? I get into relationship after relationship after relationship. I get fatter, in less shape. I stop training. I'm not working. I buy this girl a house, that girl a ring, this girl some diamonds, blah, blah, and end up broke at 35. Okay? What I have done in that hypothetical situation is expended my value, wasting my energy on the wrong women. At 35, when I'm fat and broke and living on the streets and women don't want to talk to me anymore, nobody would feel sorry for me if I said, oh, well, women don't respect me anymore. When I was 24 and young and handsome and rich, they all wanted to talk to me. Now they don't. If you flip that with the way male value is measured to female value is measured, cool. You're 21. You're 20. You're a virgin. You're a nice girl. You go to church, right? You've wasted 14 years going to clubs, waking up in the wrong beds with the wrong men, people who don't value you. You're doing drugs. Your health is worse. You're less likely to give me strong kids, to be a good mother. Your whole perceptions of reality are warped because you've wasted your value on the wrong people. Cool. We can call that body count, but there's no girl with a body count of 100 who had 100 committed loving relationships. It's all degenerate behavior. And when I say that woman's wasted her value, so no one should take a 36-year-old woman who's done that with her life seriously and try to marry her, I'm a misogynist. I'm not. I'm just a realist. I think that's just the way things are. Mm-hmm. And most people know that, but you're not allowed to say the things that everyone knows nowadays. You're not allowed to say basic truths.
You're right. But you know what? More guys are saying that now because I think they're fighting back a little bit and saying, you know what? If you've been with 20 different guys, what value do you have anymore?
And I also... Let me take a second, actually, to flip the conversation a bit. Let me defend these women for half a second. Because I was on a podcast once with a bunch of women who are promiscuous and garbage, whatever. They're one of these podcasts where they have all these various women. And I said, after the show, I said, what you guys are doing is you're sitting down a bunch of women who are not wife material, and you're explaining to them that they should be wife material, they should have been, they made this mistake, they made that mistake. And I said this, I said, look, you get what you get to sleep in the bed that you make in life. And these women haven't necessarily done anything wrong because when an NBA basketball player needs to fill his boat up with hoes who are going to sleep with him in the same bed at the same time, he needs girls like that. Don't marry her. Fine. Mm-hmm. Have a wife with have a family and a wife with someone else. But when these people are screaming at these women, you have a high body count, you do this, you did that, cool. I'll tell my daughters not to be like that. But am I going to look at the camera honestly and say I've never slept with a woman with a high body count? Did I date her, love her, take her seriously? No. Have I ever slept with one? Have I ever had parties with girls with high body counts who are around? Sure I have. So they serve their purpose in society, as everybody serves their purpose in society. But what you can't do is pick a lane. Pick the lane where you get the cool Instagram pictures and the expensive handbags and the expensive gifts, and then complain that you're not getting respect. You have to make the bed that you sleep in, So there's nothing wrong with the way that these people are living. There's only something wrong when a smart young man wants to fall in love with one and maybe marry one. Then he's making a cataclysmic error in his favor. But to switch it back, how many men deserve a woman who cares about him, loves him, is going to be loyal, is going to raise his kids, is going to cook and clean and do all the feminine stuff? How many men deserve that nowadays? A lot less than 100%. Half of us, if that. So let these people live their lives, because there are loads of men out there who don't deserve women. No,
I agree, but and if those women choose to live that way, that's fine. But then don't complain when you don't find the husband that wants to take care of you and respect you and treat you like,
like you're sacred.
Exactly.
And you're completely correct. So yeah, you have to deal with the consequences of your actions. Me and you and most men are fully aware that we make certain choices in our life. And when we make those choices, sometimes they're hard forks that alter our life in one way or the other. And that's just the way it is. And that's the way life is going to be now. And it's irrevocably changed. I think that the idea that you can erase your past or erase your mistakes is something that's sold to women a lot more than it's sold to men. I don't think it's true in either case. But you see, you'll meet homeless dudes on the street. You'll see them on interview videos who've been shooting heroin their whole life. And men will never say something so stupid like, well, 10 years ago, I was dating this girl and she asked me if I wanted to try heroin. Here I am. Whereas former porn stars, porn actresses will be like, well, I met this guy who said he wanted to be my manager. And then he said that I should do adult movies. So then I had sex with 500 dudes on camera and got famous and got popular and got this big Instagram and was living a great life. But now, that guy manipulated me.
Yeah.
I think that the ability to sell your mistakes to someone else, to choose someone to bear your sins for you is something that outside of the Christian community is uniquely female. And only women can do this. Men can't do that. So it's hard for us to even watch someone try to justify it to us. you know?
Yeah, and that's what's happening a lot. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
You nailed it on that. So now, it's amazing to me after speaking to you and your brother and realizing that you have a lot of respect for women, you have a lot of respect for your children. I mean, that's obvious with both yourself and Andrew. And then you get tagged with this nonsense. And the reason I say that, again, is because you have a platform, you have a voice, you're successful.
Yes.
And for some reason, maybe you disagree with the current, administration or the current people in power, and now you got to go through this.
The way that the law could be weaponized is honestly terrifying. And it's terrifying to me. I'm going to give you an example. Every single girl who I've met has been investigated as a potential victim of mine. Anyone I've ever met, for any reason, any woman that I know has been investigated and questioned. If they could find her, they'll question her. You're a potential victim because of Tristan because XYZ. So everyone I've met are all in this potential victim pile of papers, yes? This is the scariest thing that's happened to me. A girl who is 24 years old, who I still know. I saw her last week. She was at a restaurant with me last week. Still know her. She said in the interview, she went there without a lawyer, not knowing what the interview was about. And they said, where did you first meet Tristan? And she goes, at a party. Okay, where was the party? In a hotel reception. Did Tristan invite you? No. Who invited you? Well, my friend's sister was invited by Tristan, and this girl brought us along to the party. And you met Tristan there. Yeah, that's where I first met him. Nothing happened. It was a handshake. How old were you when you met Tristan? I was 17. Okay. They released a public statement saying that they're now investigating Tristan Tate for the potential attempted trafficking of a minor. How sick do you have to be? This person is a 24-year-old woman who I still know. The fact that the first time she shook my hand at a public party in a reception hall of a hotel was when she was 17 years of age. They wrote that down in their little statement, and everyone I know is a potential victim, so she's a potential human trafficking victim. Like I drive my car around and throw kids into my car. You do that kind of shit in Romanian jail, as I'm sure in English jails.
You get killed.
Well, I mean, my Romanian is rudimentary. I could speak Romanian, and all I'd speak about with the other cellmates is what we do if the pedophiles were put in our cell. It's a fun topic, and we mean it because you know I've got kids, and a lot of the people in jail are fathers, and these people are sick. But to say that because I met someone when they were 17, a 24-year-old woman now, this is when I was 29 then, so it's a long time ago. Because the first time I shook her hand, she was 17. If you can look this up. Tristan is being investigated, not in the file. It's not gone to court, but we're investigating the idea that he might trick minors. What the f*** are you talking about? This woman's never worked for me, lived with me, never given me any money. I've never bought her anything. I barely know her. She's a friend and an acquaintance who comes out when I invite people to nightclubs. That's it. It's really sickening what the law can do and how they can use this to try and destroy your name.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. They're trying to paint this picture of you and putting it in everybody's mind that this is how you treat women, so this all has to be true, all these allegations.
But no woman I met has ever said that.
Let me ask you, how many charges are actually against you both?
So some charges are against Andrew, and some charges are against me. The charges, I believe, are forming an organized criminal gang. No idea why. I've got an extra charge. The and exploitation, and I've got one for inciting violence. So essentially telling people to go beat people up and stuff, not beating them up myself, but telling people to. And my inciting violence charge, I'm going to tell you that all the evidence against me, right? A friend of mine, a female friend of mine, told me a story on WhatsApp where she got into an altercation, pushing and pulling kind of altercation with another girl. The event had already happened. And afterwards, because it's WhatsApp, and, I talked to her, I've known her 10 years, like I'll talk to a friend of mine. I went, ha, 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 yeah, real funny, kick her ass. That's it. That's why I am charged with the incitement of violence against others, because an event had already taken place. I laughed about it and said, kick her ass, when these two girls, I heard they were pushing and pulling each other over some nonsense, clothes or something. I don't know what it was.
How did they get the WhatsApp? Because that's supposed to be encrypted.
No, they didn't get the WhatsApps from. In fact, I know what they got and what they didn't, but they pulled this from that girl's phone. They pulled this from that girl's phone. But essentially, I'm like, how can I have incited the violence if the confrontation had happened
It already
before.
happened.
One, that doesn't make any sense. Two, even if I said before, if she said, oh, I'm arguing with this girl and I said, kick her ass, everyone says stuff like that all the time to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not ordering a mob hit to go and like beat this person
ridiculous.
up. However, they'll put the charges down. They'll make the charges sound bad. They'll put your name in the news. They'll drag your name through the mud. When this does eventually get seen, I like to believe, by a high court judge of Romania who looks at this and says, oh, well, this isn't inciting violence. Cool, 3 years have passed. 3 years have passed, and my life they've attempted to ruin my life. I'm having a wonderful time. This is very enjoyable to me. These people are, they're trying to, I guess, I don't know, upset me, and it doesn't work, and that upsets them. But they're trying to destroy my life. So I can't really ever have justice now, even at this point. If they dropped it all tomorrow, cool. I've been under arrest for 5% of my life, Michael. Like, what kind of justice is that? There is no justice, because justice is balance, and the people who've done this to me will never suffer any repercussions, which is sad, but I really don't care. I find it very funny.
Has it hurt business at all? Any of these charges?
Loads. I mean, all of this stuff, any charges like that. Okay, I wouldn't do business with someone who was a human trafficker. I wouldn't. So the sponsorship deals I would have had, the people who would be paying money to, I guess, sell certain products, wear certain clothes, do certain drinks, be in certain movies. A lot of these offers that were floating around before these charges hit have all disappeared. So yeah, I've lost millions of dollars. But luckily, I'm okay. I'm not gonna brag and get myself in trouble.
No.
But I asked for this. I asked for it, Michael. God gives you what you ask for. I was in Trieste, Italy. Beautiful city. I'd just driven my new Lamborghini from London, and I was driving home to Romania. I took the scenic route. I was in Trieste. I was next to this beautiful Russian woman. I woke up in this amazing hotel with this girl I'd been talking to on the internet for a few months. Really pretty girl. And I stroll to the balcony and I open up a book. I'm reading this book. It's an Ian Fleming James Bond novel. I'm a big fan of all of those. And I remember reading the book thinking, my life is a little bit like James Bond, but it's not exciting enough. No one's trying to get me. No one's trying to attack me. Everything's fine. I've got a bunch of money, a beautiful girl, a fast car, but it's just not exciting enough. And then I cut to a year later. I'm like, I remember when I was on that balcony saying no one's trying to kill me. This isn't very interesting. Well, be careful what you wish for. Because, here I am. But again, I find it's made life more interesting. Whether or not it's good or bad, whether I've lost money, gained money, it's made life sexier, more interesting, more exciting. So at this point, I just have to enjoy the ride. I don't know if the river I'm cruising ends in a waterfall or a resort. I don't know. However, the sun's shining, so
it's all right. One of you, I just read recently, they did hold it over for trial.
Yeah.
Right? When is it? Is it scheduled yet?
Well, no, because now that same decision, because things here take forever, have to go to appeal court judges. And appeal court judges decide if it goes to trial or not. Keep in mind, at this point, 2 years after this started, not a single judge for a single second has analyzed any evidence or taken into account the question, is this guy guilty of a crime or not? That has never happened once yet. That will happen if this goes to appeal and the appeal court judges say, okay, we believe the investigation was conducted legally and we're going to put their evidence forward for the trial. Then at a trial, finally someone actually thinks about the question, did these guys do it or not? Because that question hasn't been analyzed by a single Romanian judge yet. Not one.
Well, let me ask you this now, because I'm always interested in legal systems.
Yeah.
Now that you probably never got involved in any of this, didn't know anything about the system.
No.
Right, no knowledge.
My only handlings with the Romanian legal system prior to this was speeding tickets.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, so now that you're into it and you have attorneys, what are they saying to you about the process? They're saying, listen, you can get a fair shake in Romania. It's very, very difficult. What are they telling you?
It's a lottery of the judges that get selected for me. That's what it is. I have heard stories that powerful prosecutors can tell judges what to do. I've heard stories that political interests can tell judges what to do. I've heard all these stories that I cannot confirm or deny. I don't know. But I do know that I've had bad decisions in court and I've had good decisions in court. And it's random judges every time. How can a judge say, for my second month in prison, yeah, definitely keep him in prison, keep him in prison. And 30 days later, when nothing new has been added to the case, nothing's been done, another judge say, this is completely unlawful, let the boys out of jail. How can that be, if the law is black and white, how can that be the case? How can I could have applied to get off house arrest and judges say, no, they're dangerous, keep them in house arrest. And then one judge look at it and say, it doesn't look like these guys have even done anything wrong, let them out. It's a roll of the dice. I don't know what judges I'm going to get.
So every time you go to court, you get a different judge?
I have one judge who proceeds over my entire case.
Right.
And every decision she makes goes to randomly appointed appeal court judge, randomly appointed appeal
immediately?
Court judges.
It goes right to appeal?
Yeah, immediately. Because if I win something, if I get something in my favor, the police appeal it. If the judge says something that's not in my favor, my lawyers appeal it. So no matter what, it's going to go to the appeal court judges.
So every decision is appealed?
Every decision is appealed. And the system here is very confusing. And it's very difficult to understand for Americans how you could be put in prison before you even talk to a judge for essentially an indefinite amount of time. What they do is they give you serious charges, because the more serious the charges, the longer they can keep you in jail. So I remember when I was in prison, everyone was telling me, everyone on the outside was saying, well, I've heard that they can only keep you in preventative detention for 6 months. And I was saying on the phone to my guys, no, I'm with a guy here. He's in my cell who's been here a year and a half and has not seen a judge. That can't be true. I found out that I could have been in jail without charge for 9 years. Because what the limit is 50% of the maximum sentence of the crimes that you are accused of. So I could have been in jail permanently, even to this day, from my arrest a year and a half ago, for 9 years before they'd have to legally let me out, which is very scary. But the good part is, if you're a human trafficker, if they raided my house and found any girl, I mean, there were no girls here, but let's say they found girls in handcuffs locked in this room, I wouldn't have got out after 3 months. If you're a human trafficker and it looks like you're doing something, buying and selling women, exploiting people, whatever, no human trafficker gets out after 3 months. It's never happened. Only me and Andrew.
Right.
Which means that there are fair people in the system who know this is a setup and decided to end my captivity. So that gives me hope. Otherwise, it's in God's hands. And like I said, they can't make me care. They can't scare me. They can't bully me. They can't make me cry. They can't make me break down. They can't make me plead guilty to something I didn't do. I'd rather just go to jail because everyone I love is fine, jail or not. So, and that's, I guess, the side effect of being a hardworking, smart individual who set his life up in the right way. I ain't scared of prison.
Well, you have the right attitude. You know, in the States, it's a little bit different. When you get locked up in the federal system, they can detain you, no bail, for either being a flight risk or a danger to the community.
Yes.
My last case, they locked me up. They gave me no bail. And then I have to go for a hearing, right? Well, they couldn't call me a flight risk because I had been to trial 5 times.
Showed up every time.
It wasn't even 5 minutes late for any one of them. I sat through months of trial. I stood in front of 5 juries, so they know I'm not running anywhere. My crime was basically a tax fraud case, even though they made it RICO, you know, it was a racketeering case. So there was no violence. You know, they wanted to put violence in there, but we weren't threatening people. They wanted to buy gas from us, right? We couldn't sell them enough gas.
So you
right?
can't be a danger to society.
Couldn't be
either.
a danger to the community. So you know what they did? They created a new category under the statute. They said I was an economic danger to the community because of the amount of money that we defrauded the government of, billions of dollars, they said. So they created on the spot. Nobody had ever been detained for that reason ever before. And the judge bought it, and they held me without bail.
Hey, do you know what that sound means? Ooh, that's something I've been hearing a lot lately. I can't help but love that. That's what I hear when I make another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. The Pokemon business I've recently started with someone is absolutely thriving thanks to Shopify. Shopify accepts all kinds of payments, and sometimes it's complex when you get on a platform, but their dashboard makes it completely simple. Covering all your sales channels from a shopfront-ready POS system to its all-in-one e-commerce platform, Shopify even gets you selling across social media marketplaces like Facebook, Insta, TikTok, and YouTube. Full of the industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand without learning new skills in design or coding. And thanks to award-winning help and with an extensive business course library, Shopify is ready to support your success every step of the way. So when it comes to dealing with people all over the world, Shopify is absolutely enabling us to smash it with our Pokemon business. Before Shopify, our Pokemon card business was in the dark ages. It's time to get serious about selling and get Shopify today. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a £1 per month trial period at shopify.co.uk/Sean, SHAUN, all lowercase. Go to shopify.co.uk/Sean, SHAUN to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.co.uk/Sean. Link in description box below this video on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Back to the podcast.
Well, the only similarity in my case is that the definition of human trafficking has, and this is in my legal indictment, the prosecutor has said, this guy who's after me, that this is a new form of human trafficking we've never seen before. So in the place of real evidence, which they wanted to find something I did wrong. They wanted to find the disgruntled ex-employee or ex-girlfriend or whatever. What they did is they found women who have never lived with me. Some of them are from cities 6 hours away, who have, and this is not a joke, asked me for help promoting their social medias. So I am the biggest social media guy in this entire country. I'm an internet marketing legend almost, the way that we made Andrew as famous as he has. So we're legends in the internet marketing. TikTok had to ban his voice. They had to use AI face scanners to ban his face.
Really?
And he's still on TikTok, so good luck. But essentially, they found conversations of me with women who say, this is a setup, the boys aren't victims. I'm not a victim, the boys aren't criminals. I just asked them for help on social media. They found my conversation saying, post this on TikTok at this time. The best time for engagement on Instagram is this. If you're going live on TikTok and monetizing your account, you need to do it this way. And these women never gave me a single penny. But my prosecutor has made up this definition of human trafficking, saying I'm orchestrating and controlling these women from afar to get them to make money on social media, even though he's never proven they've given me a penny. So they've made up a new definition of what human trafficking is, just for me, so they can charge me with human trafficking, which is a very serious case. Not the theft of TikTok creator funds from my friends' accounts, which would be minor theft. I don't know what crime that would be. They're calling it human trafficking. So yeah, they can just make stuff up. Yeah, and it's funny. Like I've got to smile.
It's funny, but it's funny, but to me it's not, because I just cannot believe that people can get away with this, but they do.
Well, yes, but look, it's me. It's me and Andrew they're trying to get with this bullshit. And I believe that there are men worthy of respect, good guys out there, who wouldn't be as capable of dealing with this financially, emotionally than me or Andrew.
No doubt.
So for me, when this case ends, there are going to be a lot of questions in Romania asked about why this was done to American citizens on Romanian soil. And the way I look at it is, well, my kids are Romanians. So if you attacking me in this way didn't really financially damage me and it didn't upset me, but it raises serious concerns in this country about the way the justice system works and about how you can victimize people, especially foreign nationals. If questions are asked and changes are made, I only did 3 months, Michael. 3 months. That's a cakewalk to someone like you.
Right.
It's nothing. So was it worth it? Maybe. If something good comes out of it, then I'm glad it happened. Because now I'm under arrest, sure, but I mean you've looked around. Do I look like I'm upset? Do I look like I'm locked up? Like I can't fly? Well, I've spent most of my life not being able to fly
Can't leave the
anywhere.
country, right?
No, I can't leave the country.
That's your restriction.
That's my restriction currently, but that's going to appeal next week. But again, I've spent 10 years of my life not being able to leave my country. Why? Because I was flat broke. Right. So am I any more in jail now than I was when I worked at McDonald's? Not really. Couldn't fly then, can't fly now. And it is what it is. But I'm living much better day to day than I was back then.
Yeah.
So it doesn't faze me.
Well, hopefully it's all. So at this point, you don't even know when there's going to be a trial.
No.
You have no idea.
No idea.
It could be months. Is there any, because we have a speedy trial rule, at home, you can, within 90 days, they could always move it around a little bit. But normally, if you're a defendant and you're asking for a trial, they have to give it to you.
No, not here. If a trial does take place, a decision, guilty or not guilty, isn't coming for at least a year.
Really?
At least a year. Things here take forever. There's no computer systems. Everything's paper. Pen and paper, analog, nothing's digital. It's very, very slow. It's a long time in the future. So I've just got to enjoy the ride, I guess. I can't sit here crying every day, can I?
No. You got the right attitude. Yeah. Let me ask you this. You spent a little time in prison.
Yeah.
Jail, I call it. It's not really prison, right? There's separation.
There's a separation, same in the United States. in terms of the classification of being in jail and being in prison. So one is obviously once you're convicted, one is they're holding you because of X, Y, and Z, but the facilities are all the same.
It's the same facility.
Yeah, so here the facilities are all, they haven't built a new prison here in 20-something years. They're all old communist buildings infested with cockroaches and all the horror stories I'm sure Andrew told you. And the system is the same. There's no yard time. There's no walking around. You're locked in a room and that's it. So although it's technically jail and not prison, it may as well be the same building.
It's the same facility.
It's the same
basically.
facility. Yeah,
Just
all the
different
facilities
class.
are exactly the same.
All right, got it.
In fact, I was told mine was worse because the other big jail in Romania, in Bucharest, Rahova, has a church, and you're allowed to go to the church, and there's a little bit of walking around, and you could possibly get a job and do something there. There's a tailor shop, whereas my jail or my prison, it serves both purposes, but it doesn't have any of that. It's you are in the room. That's it. Enjoy your time.
So how did you deal with it just for that time? Because you were with Andrew for a while, then they separated you?
No, I think we were separate at first, and then they put me and Andrew together so we could, I guess they could spy on us.
Yeah,
I guess,
it probably
doesn't matter. What am I
yeah.
going to talk about? The time I used to kidnap people? Like, I don't know what they expected me to hear. Hey, Andrew, oh, it's a shame we're in jail. We shouldn't have done all that kidnapping. Like, I don't know what they thought I was going to say. But they, we were in a room with just us two, no other people. So yeah, fine, listen to me. If that's the price I have to pay, I don't give a shit. You can listen to us talk about books and kickboxing and religion and smoke our cigarettes and do our push-ups. You want to listen to that? Good. I feel sorry for the officers who had to go through that tape because they're incredibly
Boring.
dull.
I was on trial. There was a guy I was on trial with. I had just met him on trial. Never met him before, right? It was 15 of us. I was a lead defendant. And he was a union guy. And we were on trial 7 months. They mentioned his name in the opening statement. And for 7 months, they never mentioned him again. He's sitting there, right? They were gonna wrap it up, and it was gonna be sent to the jury. The judge was gonna charge the jury. I said to him, "You're going home." They never even mentioned your name. The jury thinks you're a lawyer. They don't know who you are. They never even mention your name. Last day, this was so funny, Tristan. Last day, they play a tape for this guy, right? And on the tape, the room was bugged. And on the tape, he says, "Hey, listen," he's telling all his guys, "Remember, what we're doing is a crime here. If this room is bugged, we're all going to jail." Right? 3-minute tape. That's all he said. Convicted, 7 years he got.
Man. Did Andrew tell you the time that I made him laugh in court and we got sent back to jail?
No.
Oh, hilarious. So you get to court. It's a big show. It's not very organized. There's a bunch of cases being heard. They sit you down in jail. And we've been saying this is a matrix attack from the very beginning. We've been saying it in our cell all the time. It's a kind of a running joke. So we're sitting in court, and this real scumbag-looking guy is standing up in court, and they're showing images on the screen of packed drugs, images with laptops with the screen censored. And Andrew doesn't speak Romanian very well, but words like pornography, child pornography sound very similar. So they were listing all this stuff that this guy did and this guy had in his house, and this guy really looked like a scumbag, and he's looking down at the floor. And Andrew and the judge is looking at us, and we're sitting there in court. And Andrew leans on my ear and goes, "Hey, what did this guy do?" And I leaned to his ear. I went, "Nothing. It's a matrix attack." He bursts out laughing in court. And it's like in school when you say something funny that you shouldn't, and you're trying not to keep a straight face. So me and Andrew are sitting there trying to contain our laughter with these judges looking at us. Straight back to jail. That was our second month we got. We could have got out. I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. But yeah.
Did he get mad at you afterwards?
That was pretty funny.
Why'd you make me laugh?
Well, yeah, no, he doesn't get mad at me. I mean, I understand also, although this lunatic who came into my house and made the false accusation was someone who got into the house by knowing me, like, we don't do that. Oh, well, Tristan, it's your fault because this. Andrew, it's your fault because of this. I'm like, I am so honored that they want you to shut up so bad. They respect the strength of our brotherhood to the point where the Tate brothers have to go to jail. Yes. Even that webcam studio that I used to run that the people on the internet talk about all the time, that was me. A lot more than it was Andrew. I was kind of running this business. I was also running little casinos, and I had a bunch of legal tax payable businesses at the time. And that makes Andrew look bad. And, it's not like that. We are the Tate brothers. You attack one of us, you attack both of us. I would be furious if they sent him to jail without me. If they said, "Andrew, you're guilty, Tristan, you're not," I'd be pissed. Yeah. I get a tent and sleep outside the prison. I don't know what I'd do. Like, you better send us both, I ain't letting him go alone. So I was glad I was in there with him. So no, there was no, "You made me laugh." We found it hilarious. And
so it's no that you're not taking the heat because Andrew is more vocal and he's out there and he talks all the time. You're equal in this. You're equal in doing nothing. Let's put it that way.
No. it's Andrew's fault because he keeps running his mouth. But what I won't do is let him take more than half the blame. Even if he's saying the thing, funding foreign wars, the COVID, the injections.
Do you cringe at times when you hear him talk?
No, I'm just like, I'll pack my jail bag, I don't
Well, you
really
got to
care.
get mad at this. The other day he was saying, I'm bored. Bring me back to prison. I want to go back. Did you hear that?
Yeah, he does say that. And you know what? Fine. The thing is this. If they convict me and send me to prison with this evidence I told you about allegedly orchestrating these people's social media accounts, even these people are defending me to this day. They're on TV saying this is stupid. There's no victims in the case. I don't know why they put me in the case.
I've heard women say that.
Yeah. They're brainwashed according to the prosecution. Anyway, long story short, if they put me in jail, they didn't have to show everyone the evidence they convicted me on. So fucking do it.
Right.
Dude, I ain't scared of jail. And I said this to one of the police officers. I was like, you've told the whole world I'm a human. You think they're going to be happy with this he told her to do TikTok posts bullshit? Everyone knows what human means. Holding people against their will, buying and selling people, forcing women into prostitution. We all know what human is, especially here in Romania. You think that people are going to be happy with your story that I made this person who never gave me any money, who lives in a city 6 hours away, more popular on social media by helping her out? I do the same with my personal trainer. If you think people are going to swallow this, then you're dumb. They've all said I'm a human. Prove it. Prove it and send me to jail. Prove to the world I'm a human and send me to prison. I don't give a shit because they're going to have to eventually show their cards. It's poker and I'm holding 2 aces. They've got a 7-2 split and there's aces all across the board. You can win somehow, but when you show the cards, you're going to show that you're a jackass. So good luck to them. Good luck to all 3 people involved, and they know who they are. It's 2 prosecutors and some detective, and I guess their careers are on the line. They better prove I'm a criminal somehow, because otherwise, Romania looks like a backwards country that just steals from foreigners who come here and try and live peaceful lives. Yeah. So these people's asses are on the line, and they know it. They're still interviewing people now. People I know. One was at an interview 3 days ago.
I was going to say, the problem they have is that your attitude is what it is, which is good, which is what it should be, but that angers them. And, it motivates them more to try to do, because you're making them look bad.
Well, they see it as arrogance.
Yeah.
I've heard from various people talking around, no, you're too arrogant about this. I'm saying, no, it's not arrogance. It's actually innocence. If I tell the world that you are a child, I wouldn't even want to put that negative energy out there in the world. You'd be like, Tristan's full of shit. Fuck that Tristan Tate guy. He's a loser. Of course he's making this up. And now I could say, oh, he's just being arrogant. It's not arrogance. You know you're innocent.
Yeah,
you're innocent, and you're going to tell me to go fuck myself. So the people who are trying to do this to me, oh, they're legal professionals or not, they can go fuck themselves. I will be arrogant because I'm innocent of every single crime, and good luck proving it. Good luck proving it. I don't care.
Well, you know what? I admire that because not too many guys do that today. Yeah. And you're right. I'm innocent. Why should I sit here and make believe or put my head down or I'm innocent of this? And I love that attitude. Yeah. And you and your brother, you present yourself very well. I mean that. And it's again, you see all these people on social media is it's just oh my gosh,
it's bad, isn't it?
It's just bad. It's unbelievable. People make up their minds knowing nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They don't have a clue. And my wife gets mad at me sometimes. She said, I never answer comments. Every once in a while I'll do something. It just gets me.
Yeah.
And the reason I answer it is because I want everybody to see my answer. Because this guy is such a fool. Or this thing that you're saying is so ridiculous that you need to be exposed. I don't know if anybody ever reads it, but you make a comment. Yeah. But then you just blow off steam like that. But listen, just stay strong, Tristan. You got the right attitude. Hopefully it works out right, and these people all get pushed back. But the human, I don't even know how they can make a charge of human trafficking, realizing how serious human trafficking is.
I know.
And you said it all.
They're belittling a serious issue.
Yeah, I mean, they're belittling exactly a serious issue.
Yeah. And
it's a shame they would even put that tag on you.
No, it's really. It's very sad. And like I said, as a father to a daughter, I'm just like, am I worried about going to prison? No. Am I worried about a guilty verdict for human trafficking on my name for the rest of my life? Yeah. That offends me. That seriously offends me. More so, I would rather go to jail right now for a year for no reason than be convicted of human trafficking and walk, on some plea. No way. No way. So that's why I'm fighting so hard. and I'll continue to fight. And they're going to have to prove it, like I said. So,
Well,
luck to
listen,
'em.
keep it up. Anything else you want to say? Or
No, that's all. Thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us. And I just want to say that when I was in prison, there were 3 people: a Dutch politician called Thierry Baudet, comedian Eddie Griffin, randomly, and you. You were the 3 people that made Romanian news saying that these are trumped up charges and these boys are probably innocent. And when you're in jail, when you're in that situation, 3 months isn't a very long time, but I didn't know how long it was going to be. It's a real morale boost. So I'd like to personally thank you for somehow making it onto Romanian television, because it put a smile on my face.
well, it was better to be on the television than in the jail with you. No, listen, honestly, I believed it all the time. I didn't believe any of this nonsense.
Appreciate it.
I could see right through it. But
Yeah, appreciate it.
it's great.
Thank you very much.
And I want to say this. You and your brother have been tremendous, great hosts. And we appreciate it very much, really. Just having us here. I mean, at your house, inviting us in. So thank you.
Well, that's lucky, because now you can't leave.
My good friend Chaz. I love that line. You love that line?
Yeah.
Now you just can't leave.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
If you're looking for a gift, my new book, Sit Downs with Gangsters, is available worldwide on Amazon. We've interviewed over 1,000 people now, and we selected 10 of the hardest hitting stories to go in this book. Each chapter features the story of one of our podcast guests. Those stories are Shane Taylor, Knife Maniac's Redemption; John Elite, Mafia Hitman for the Gambino crime family; Joey Barnett, 35 years in UK prison; Ian Blink MacDonald, £6 million bank robber; Chet Sandu, Asian smuggler in Spanish Supermax; John Lawson, the hit team commander; David Macmillan, international smugglers Thai death row prison escape; John Abbott, San Quentin prison shootouts and escape; Michael Franzese, Colombo crime family capo portrayed in Goodfellas; and Wildman, English enforcer in Arizona prison. Link in description box on YouTube, available worldwide on Amazon. Also, my next book, Untouchable Jimmy Savile, is getting published in December 2023. So check that out as well. It will be available worldwide on Amazon. Thank you for listening. Cheers.